Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second NCC webinar on compliance and alignment with Cyber Resilience Act requirements. I'm Ana Maria Bușoniu, General Director of NCC Romania, and I'm excited to be your host on the next 19 minutes to share practical tips and potential fresh idea with you. Thank you for adjusting your calendar to join us today. We appreciate your flexibility and your availability. Founded by the Digital European Program and supported by European Cybersecurity Competence Center, the CRACY project unites partners from Belgium, Romania, Greece, Estonia, under the coordination of ALSEC, leaders in cybersecurity from Leuven, in order to translate the Cyber Resilience Act into clear and practical tools and methodologies that help companies, especially SMEs, to build and deliver to market secure digital products and services. I'm joined on the virtual stage by Ulrich Salsex, the CEO of ALSEC Leaders in Security. Ulrich has double hat today, moderator and speakers. So we'll hear from him shortly. With Plato from Timelapse, we'll briefly ask on the most significant Cyber Resilience Act developments from the first half of 2025. Also, very important to mention, the Romanian National Cybersecurity Directorate, which will be represented at the webinar by Sebastian Naste, our colleague and friend, will outline the Directorate's rule on cybersecurity with a focus of enforcing the EU Cyber Resilience Act. Before we dive in, here are a few quick opening reminders. The session is being recorded for colleagues who couldn't attend our online session. Please keep your microphone muted unless you raise your hand and you are invited to speak. Of course, we encourage the questions, so drop them into the open debate panel anytime. Okay, let's get started. I'm pleased to hand over to Ulrich, CEO of ALSEC and coordinator of the CRACY consortium. Ulrich, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you very much also for organizing. Great to see you all again. It's been a couple of months. The first time that we did this was somewhere in March, where we basically presented to you for the first time what CRACY was all about and what is that we were planning to do. I'm happy to share some of our first results. They are still first results, and so it's still very much work in progress, but at least it gives a bit of an indication on what's going on, what we are doing, and what you can also expect from us. The whole plan for CRACY is to make the Cyber Resilience Act a bit more easy. That's the reason why it's called CRACY. So CRA made easy. Now, in order to do that, we of course have to understand what the CRA is all about. We started with our first session on more the description from the CRA legal perspective, where also Wout gave a presentation which was called Demystifying the CRA. We've taken that to a number of additional steps. Some of them will be showing you here today, and even very high level, because many of those things will be have to go very much into depth. And what we wanted to do today was first to give you a bit of an insight on some of the developments, and then maybe in the next occasion go into a number of these specific elements more in depth, and give you some more insights concretely, also on the basis of some of the materials that we have been working out. Now, the CRA activities are also, of course, developing. That's the reason why Wout will provide a short update on the CRA in itself. And then there's, of course, the different developments which are taking place in terms of the requirements and the standardization. So as you are probably aware of, there are some works ongoing since Senelec and ETSI, together with a number of additional people which are participating in these works, working towards an harmonization approach for a potential standard. So harmonized standard specifically for CRA, where there's an expectation that this is also to be finalized in a first level by the end of this year. So many of us are also participating in some of these activities and these actions, and we'll have to be, of course, watching out continuously for developments in all of these aspects. So given that CRACY as a project also has a limited time frame, we are now about 6 months down the road with the project. We're obviously also making good progress. Yeah, I think there's indeed somewhere an echo. I'm not sure, maybe somebody else has also their microphone on, and it seems to be gone now. Okay, I'm not sure, but in any case, if you have your microphone on, please turn it off so that we won't get the echo. Thank you so much. Okay, so in short, CRACY is about a number of different things. We are a group of 12 European cybersecurity experts in trying to help in the first place, making the CRA more accessible also for SMEs, but equally so, of course, for any other types of organizations. So the first things that we have been developing is a series of what we call security tools. I'll talk a bit more about those. And by the next time probably that we'll meet, we'll be able to also show you some of our first compliance tools. We're already getting to that level there. We'll be providing some guidance. I can showcase a little bit about these things already today as well. And we have started already working on some specific use cases that will hopefully also be able to be picked up by some of the member state authorities and specifically also you as NCCs. And then we'll be providing some additional guidance in relation to the competent authorities, the DAPs and so forth. So hopefully we'll be able to offer you in the next coming months and weeks some more inputs. For those of you who might have missed the first session, the CRA is, of course, all about providing more resilience into Europe when it comes to products with digital elements. So it's mainly focused towards those products. Products can be both digital as well as physical products. But then for the physical products, of course, with some form of an electronic component in there. So digital elements, in this case, in there. We will be focusing very much on practical tools and to help with those tools and methodologies to hopefully be able to simplify compliance. However, we already know that this challenge of compliance is going to be pretty difficult. So what we are aiming for is to provide a number of components that will in any case help towards this facilitation and the simplification. But in the end, it will depend, of course, on how the member states are going to implement this and how the conformity assessment bodies will actually finally look into the requirements of the PDEs which will be deployed. It's about securing devices and applications. Not to forget that it's not really about the compliance. Of course, that's the main element, and that's of course also something that many manufacturers of PDEs are in the first place looking into. So, I mean, it's legislation. It is something that is requiring them to abide to. But not to forget that the fundamentals of this is really how can products being put into the market in Europe, PDEs, become more secure, more than what we can currently see in terms of products which are entering into the market still these days without any form of access control in a decent way, apart from any sort of data protection, so data being leaked and so forth and so further. So that's of course what we are trying to protect. So in other terms, and this is also what colleague Wout has been presenting the last time. Of course, we are looking into many different types of PDEs. Most PDEs, and while it's being represented as very small here, the 90% are general PDEs. So general as in all sorts of products with digital elements going from your soundbar under your television set, photo editing software, and so forth. But most where the CRA is related to and is also putting a lot of attention to is those PDEs which are of importance in terms of class 1 or class 2 importancy, or critical PDEs. So the class 1 and class 2, typically things like security products, both physical as well as electronic security. And so these are still being further identified, what those are. A couple of weeks ago, there was a public consultation on this, where many have responded to, and I think also some of you present here today. And then the critical PDEs via delegated acts, which are in the making, I think both in the member states as well on European level. So that's where the main of the PDEs are going to. So what we started to do is basically with the partners that we have, and as you can see, we have a series of partners both from a technical level, like CU, Resilient, Jimber, Exit, NoCodex, and Positium. And then we have a couple of academic partners, in this case, University of Brussels and ID Lab, which is basically IMEC. I forgot on the technical partners, an important one, which is Torion. And then from the legal partner side, here represented today by Wout, Timelex. And then we have NCC Romania, our host of today, which is also a partner inside of the consortium. And next to us, basically as more non-profit types of entities, which are supporting, in this case, the whole of the developments in the market. Ourselves a little bit more towards the industry, and then NCC Romania more towards the authorities and the member states, or the other NCCs, as we can see here. So this great partnership, we are focusing on, in the first place, what are the different obligations that PDE manufacturers have to abide by. And so as you can see here, there's quite a long list. These are essential requirements. Later on, I will be giving a bit of an insight on some of the work that has been done here in trying to translate those. And these will be made available on the CRACY website very shortly from here on. And that's basically where we took some of the requirements and we tried to map them out on making them slightly more concrete, and also trying to map them out to some of the solutions that we are building ourselves. CRACY is also focusing on free and open source technologies, especially our compliance tools that we will be showcasing in the fall period. Will be focused on making sure that some of the tools that we provide will be free and open source. Some of the tools that I'll talk about today are also going to be made available, some in open source, and definitely some available now, basically all available now for free. But sometimes the ones that we offer today for free might become over time also offered on a paying service. And I'll explain in a second why that is and how that comes about. What we see as outcomes for basically all of you is basically to facilitate the understanding of what the CRA is all about by giving some insights in use cases, providing some examples, but also by some of the methodologies that we will provide that will make it easier, in any case that's our intention, for PDE manufacturers and specifically SMEs to make sure that the PDEs that they produce will become more compliant. So some core solutions that we are developing, and then I'll get to our first set of solutions that we have today. So the first set of solutions that we are developing is related to providing more security. because that's, of course, the basis of what the CRA is all about. So is to provide more security for this. So there's now 3 tools that we have started to make available. We have a CRACY SASE, we have a CRACY SEA, and we have a CRACY, in this case, it's called a repository that allows to register the different PDEs in order to get the security inserted already from what's available. And then from there on is to start making sure that the additional elements being provided towards compliance will be registered in the same way. So we start with the security measurements, and then after some time we'll provide basically this in a compliance environment. So those 3 tools are already available now since about, I would say the end of last month, since end of June. To start with is the most practical one, and that is what we call our CRACY SASE. So probably most of you are familiar with the terminology of SASE. Stands for Security as a Service in this case. So we have provided a cloud-based platform that helps, in this case, security, basically manufacturers, firstly manufacturers of PDEs, and in the first place, manufacturers of so-called IoT PDEs. So basically appliances which are using Windows, iOS, or Linux in an usually embedded fashion inside of an appliance, basically a box. And I think you can start here already configuring and thinking about those security appliances, or even so the operational appliances for instance, for critical infrastructures that basically are running on an embedded Linux. And many of those devices that we are encountering, we have a couple of examples that we are now transforming into use cases. I can't show them here yet because it's work in progress, but there we can see already that many of those appliances, they have included a bit of security levels, but then where they typically start to fail is on the continuous management and up-to-date of those appliances. So what we wanted to do is making sure that these appliances, and really you can imagine it as a small box, which is installed inside of a manufacturing environment, for instance. And you can consider, for instance, in a manufacturing environment or even a healthcare environment. Let's take healthcare is maybe the more practical example here, because it's also directly related to NIS2, for instance. So an operational technology installed inside of a hospital, which is not related to the medical devices, but it is doing some activities on the operational activities within a hospital. So that particular appliance is not so much being monitored by the hospital itself. It's not even monitored by, in this case, any external service. So what we provide here is for this manufacturer of the PDE, so the manufacturer of this appliance, to register itself on our CRACY SASE and to install in there a small agent which will connect directly to, in this case, the CRACY SASE environment. And in this case, the manufacturer will be able to manage all of its PDEs specifically on behalf of its customers, then in this case, the hospitals. Will also be able to monitor the security, and will also be able to facilitate any update or upgrade that it's going to be needed, to keep it secure on a continuous basis. And so it can monitor, it can provide the necessary compliance mechanisms to the healthcare provider that this PDE that they provided for is getting into CRA compliance. It's not yet fully there, but there's the different components, especially the security components, which have been able to put there. And so domains in this case can be related to the hospital where it's going to be installed, so that both the hospital itself as well as the manufacturer can both control, in this case, the setup. So how does it look like? You can go to it yourself. It's accessible through the CRACY website. I'll show you the URL in a second. It's basically sasi.cra-cy.eu, so sasi.crazy.eu. And there you can basically start registering in the first place yourself as a product manufacturer. You can start seeing a dashboard that looks a bit like this. You can start integrating both the user devices, which in this case will be the endpoint devices. And so from here on, you can start seeing how those devices really will be continuously secured going forward. And next one up is called our software composition analysis. It's an infra, and it's basically there to do the analysis of pieces of software. And in this case, those pieces of software can be related to Ansible. So if you have platforms that are developing on Ansible, so it's called Infra Mapper, then this Ansible infrastructure as code, which is being used quite often in deployments of telecom related infrastructures. Then you can see that these will be able to be scanned for security issues. And then in this case, the SEA analysis tool will be able to provide additional insights on where security weaknesses can be found, and those security weaknesses can then, in this case, be improved by the developer using this platform. So also this one is freely available and can be accessed through our GitHub. So the repository being made available for in this case, the SCA tooling. So Infra Mapper will be able to find and report also dependencies from potential vulnerabilities which are being discovered this way. So also being made available directly to be used. Here it's directly on our GitHub. So that's the CRACY GitHub that provides access directly to this tool. And then the third tool that we made available, which will become also accessible through the CRACY website, is our repo. So it's the repository in a first level that will be able to guide for registration of companies and products. And then first start to introduce what has been done in terms of risk assessment, and also then the first security measures. This is a first level, which in the end will become our compliance management tool. So in the first place, it's the repository for the registration and also the security listings. And over time, it will become your tool that will be able to help you managing your compliance as a PDE manufacturer. So three very useful tools for small and medium-sized manufacturers, or even also the larger ones that can start immediately with the development. Another thing that we did is the essential requirements of the CRA, basically the appendix, the different requirement IDs. We listed out the requirements and we started making some direct references and mappings on some solutions being provided by CRACY or by other entities. So this repository we are now finalizing, will become available on the website, on the CRACY website. So you can access this through cracy.digitalsecuritycatalyst.com or directly through crazy.eu. And what we also developed is in the first level of risk assessment approaches. This is a white paper that will become available early next month. So we're finalizing now, let's say, the details. And it takes into consideration some of the typical things related to manufacturers of PDEs, and then also particularly SME manufacturers in this case. So it takes into consideration challenges such as design changes, many software updates that need to be made, new threat intelligence and third-party components, potential incident occurrences or regulatory updates, since we know that, okay, the regulation is there, but there are still changes being happened. So therefore, we will suggest three approaches. The main approach for risk assessment will be the four-question approach that we propose, but we also suggest to use Stride and Pasta. But on the basis of these risk assessment mechanisms, which we also give some indications on how to best use them, we propose as the risk assessment methodologies. So basically the first thing that needs to happen through the PDE manufacturers. So what we would recommend in any case to all of you here now as NCCs is to maybe start reaching out to some of the PDE manufacturers that you have within your community or that you know already, or even also cybersecurity companies. And let's maybe work together on bringing them together in an activity somewhere in the fall. And it could be a webinar, it could be something like a real life event, and helping them out in doing this first level of risk assessments. Because what we usually see is that they still need some guidance over and on top of the methodology and the theoretical approaches. And every time, again, every case is a bit different. So therefore, we hope to be able to give you some additional guidance and documentation that you can deal with together with those SMEs, and that you then can use the different tools that we have provided, either to help them getting more secure or getting more towards compliance later on. So the CRACY website is where you can find the SASE tooling, and then later on also the white papers and the overview of the setting of the requirements. And with this, I'll stop the sharing and I'll hand it back over to you, Anna. Anna, you're there, or shall we hand over directly to
Yes.
Wout? Okay.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you. Now we go with the presentation on update on the Cyber Resilience Act development. Please, Wood Plato, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
How can I share my screen in this? Do I have to reclaim host role or?
No, there's a button called share, which you have to press.
Thank you for that, but I do not see a button like that.
Okay. Are you using the WebEx in your browser, or are you using the app?
In browser, yes.
Okay. That might be a bit of a challenge then in this case. There should also be the availability to do that, but I cannot see it now. Bogdan or anybody from the NCC team, can you help out Wout finding the right button?
I don't see it on my own. I don't see that button.
Otherwise, Wout, do you have? Yeah, I'm no longer the presenter. It says here, and I can see somebody who was sharing. I'm not sure if it was you.
No, it was not.
Hello, can you? Oh, it's
Yeah.
okay.
No, that's still not me sharing. So
That's Sebastian.
It's us. It's us. We try to find the presentation.
Wout?
I just tried my sharing device and Wout, you need to click on share content and then to allow some permissions on the WebEx.
Where do I see share contents?
It's exactly in the I mean, it depends if you have joined via a website or via the application.
Yeah, so he's on the browser.
Yeah, if you're on the browser, then I think that you might not be able to share the content. So maybe if you can share it with anyone else so they can share it.
You can send to us and we can share.
Sure, yes. What email address is that?
If you don't see the share button, then maybe you have to press the up arrow there. Maybe you see an up arrow button to show the control bar, which has
the email in the chat.
Which has the share
Thank
button.
you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Hi. I'm also from a browser, and I do have a small, very, very small arrow in the middle of the screen on the bottom. And if you open it up, you can mute yourself, stop your video, and there is the share screen button. Maybe it's hidden for you. It's a very small arrow in the middle. And
The
on
control
the
bar,
bottom.
yeah, I don't see it on there,
Yeah.
but I will just send it to.
All right. Sorry.
Over. There we go. I just sent it. No worries. The presentation will be quite brief, so we'll be good on time.
Looking at the chat, we can use this time on answering the question. When we can expect you sharing this with us? I think tomorrow we will send you the presentation. Will you be present at the Cyber Resilience Act event on 8 October? At which event you refer? Yes, we will be present. I think now it's the presentation on shared.
Yes, perfect.
You can see?
Yes.
So I'm not sure about Wout, but I shall also be present on the 8th in Bucharest.
I don't think that this is something that we've discussed already, so I will have to leave you waiting on an answer for that one. So good morning, everybody. My name is Wout Plateau. I'm an attorney at Timelix, so a Brussels-based law firm. We focus on IT, IP, and data law. And today I will be very briefly going over what updates we've seen in the CRA implementation over the past 6 months. I'll be discussing 3 main points. So the first one are the technical descriptions. So the CRA mandates that the Commission provide a technical description of important and critical products with digital elements. Ulrich was talking about them earlier. So that 10% of products that are either more important to consumers or have more important applications as cybersecurity devices themselves. So these technical descriptions are just kind of quite short descriptions of what this actually means. So the important and critical products are listed within the annexes of the CRA, annexes 3 and 4. And so it's just within the CRA, so you can find a very short description. So for example, a firewall is, I think, one of those things. And this technical description document is a description of what does that mean, a firewall for the CRA, so that manufacturers, but also authorities, have a better view of, okay, so when are these products in scope and when are they specifically important or critical products with digital elements? This, of course, matters because when a product is important or critical, it has to go through a more strict conformity assessment procedure. So it has to be verified that it is in accordance with cybersecurity standards in a more strict way than that normal group of products with digital elements, that 90%. So the Commission has the mission sorry, we're still on technical descriptions, the previous slide. Yes, thank you. So the Commission has the mission to provide this technical description by December of this year. So there has been this draft that has been circulated. The public consultation for it closed on April 2025. And so this deadline of December 2025 is expected to be met. So we'll see what the final result of this is. One important point of debate that I've seen around this document is that the technical descriptions also focus on reasonably foreseeable use. So not only the intended purpose, the intended core functionality, as was the case when the Commission was describing this earlier within the CRA, but also reasonably foreseeable use. So this is kind of, for the use cases within these descriptions, it's kind of hard to find a system where that doesn't line up completely. But so now, if your product could reasonably be used as an important or critical product, within the draft regulations, you are in scope. And so you will have to go through that more strict conformity assessment procedure. So we'll see what the final result of this technical description implementing regulation is. And we should have this information by the end of the year. Next slide, please. So another important aspect that Ulrich also already mentioned is the standardization process. So standardization within the CRA means that products which conform to harmonized standards, which are published in the official journal of the EU, those products are presumed to be in conformity with the essential cybersecurity requirements in the CRA. So if you follow these standards, you're presumed that your product, you can presume that your product is in accordance with the CRA and that you will have no further issues. So these standards will be very relevant to manufacturers who want more certainty on how to go about this. So the Commission has asked 3 European standardization organizations, so CEN, CENELEC, and ETSI, to draft or revise standards in support of the CRA. So these organizations can, for most of them, they have to develop them jointly. For some of them, they can develop them separately. They have, of course, accepted this mandate as well. So they are now working on this. They are doing a standardization exercise on how they can find these standards for these products and ensure that there is a baseline for manufacturers and companies to go off of. So the next steps in terms of standardization are, so these standards will be developed, then they will be proposed to the Commission for assessment, and the Commission then decides to publish or not publish these standards within the official journal of the European Union. And so then once they're published, if you're if you're designing and developing your products conform these standards, you're presumed to be okay in terms of the CRA. The deadlines for this, for these standards, are kind of spread out. So they start from August 2026 and they go until October 2027. So we'll have some standards in the middle of next year, and some standards might be as late as the end of 2027. So we'll see. This will be a very big help for companies who want to comply with the CRA. But so as of now, there are no real results to speak of yet. Of course, the work has just begun, and the standardization exercise will take a while. But it's important to know that this is going on already. Next slide, please. And then the third and final thing I want to discuss today is guidance. So the Commission is obligated to provide guidance on certain topics, like the scope of the CRA, support periods, interplay with other product and harmonization legislation, and exactly what is a substantial modification. So to do this, the Commission has to consult relevant stakeholders. And for that, we see that there's a lot of activity going on. For example, we have the CRA expert group, which has had its inaugural meeting. several other events and webinars hosted by the Commission or by other organizations in trying to find solutions to these questions of what these really mean within the CRA. So we at the GRC summit hosted by the Luxembourg NC3, we heard at a panel that the Commission is hard at work at these and that they hope to provide a public draft by the end of this year. And so this will be very interesting because there's a lot of questions about the CRA, especially regarding scope. So it will be very, very relevant to see where this goes, what questions can be answered, where there are still doubts. So this is a process that's also going on. And by the end of this year, we hope to have more clarity on everything going on right now, especially for the scope in the remote data processing solution part of this. We have understood that the guidance is quite technical and quite in-depth. So this could really clarify what this means and how manufacturers and authorities are supposed to go about this. Yes, so next slide, please. That is basically it in terms of the updates. There is a lot of things going on, but very little results right now. By the end of this year, we hope to have a lot more. This guidance and these technical descriptions will really try and help clarify the scope of the obligations under the CRA. And then you have the standardization exercise to clarify the obligations that go with them and the requirements. So yes, thank you very much. And I will hand it back over to Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. For sure, we will discuss more on the open debate. But now I will let the floor to Sebastian Aste to present the Enforcing the Cybersecurity Resilience Act rules, responsibility, and readiness at the level of the European Union. And also, I want that Sebastian present us the events before 8th of October, maybe. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Just to confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so let's see how can I minimize this. Okay, perfect. So yes, before going and starting to present, indeed, before the 8th of October in Romania, in Bucharest, we will have the Bucharest Cybersecurity Conference 2025. So actually the BCC 2025. And in this this conference will be organized, co-organized together with the Romanian NCC and in collaboration with ENISA and with the European Cybersecurity Competence Center. Last year we had in Bucharest more than 1,560 people from around 45 countries. And we aim to bring to the conference only, let's say, C-suites, executives, people which are experts in cybersecurity. And building on the success of the last year, we would like also to continue the event. Basically, the third day of the conference, of the Bucharest Cybersecurity Conference, will be actually the ENISA's conference on CRA. So if you plan to come to Bucharest on the 8th, we invite you all to come starting as of 6th of October. Additional details will be announced very soon, and I'm sure that Anna and other colleagues will circulate with you all the details in time for you to register and to find out more about about the conference. I'm also the chairman of this year's edition, and yeah, if you have any questions of the conference, we can discuss after my presentation, if that's okay with you. So our directorate has been invited to this webinar to discuss a little bit about the national approach when it comes to the implementation and application of the Cyber Resilience Act However, there are ongoing discussions on this topic which cannot be communicated officially at this time, but I will touch upon our role as the directorate and some of the roles which are provided under the CRA, mainly for the member states. I will start a little bit discussing about the National Cybersecurity Directorate here in Romania, which is the national authority responsible for cybersecurity, and we were established in 2022. We play a central role in protecting the civil space of Romania, which is explicitly recognized as a component of national security. Some of the core functions were preventing, identifying, and responding to cybersecurity threats and incidents, coordinating national efforts to secure digital infrastructure, developing cybersecurity capabilities across public and private sector, and promoting public awareness and education in cybersecurity. As you can see, to guide and support our leadership, we have an advisory board made by all the institutions that you can see now on the screen, which ensures strategic alignment across the government and the national security system. And our director and the deputy directors are also part ex officio members. The directorate exercises authority over a broad range of stakeholders, including operators of essential services, digital service providers, critical infrastructure operators, central and local governments, companies whose compromise could impact public security or national interest. Here you can see our mission and vision. As I said, we focus only on the national civilian cyberspace in collaboration with all competent authorities. And our main vision is to become an international class institution that firmly positions Romania as a recognized leader in cybersecurity. As you can see, we have a quite dynamic cybersecurity ecosystem, which is deeply integrated across national and international level. We could say that in the middle, in the center of this evolving landscape, stands the directorate and NCC Romania. And as you can see, we do not work in isolation, but we function we function as part of strategic network of interconnected stakeholders, and we work in close collaboration and coordination with the national leadership, including the President, the Supreme Council of the National Defense, the CCAT, and the Prime Minister and other governments. But of course, we also work with key ministries, with EU and international partners such as the European Commission, ESA, the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, but also with other authorities and national institutes. We have entered the phase of strategic expansion with an ambition target of reaching more than 1,000 staff members by 2030. And this growth reflects not only the increasing complexity of the cyber threat landscape, but also a broader mandate of the directorate as central authority for civilian cyberspace. As you can see, the organizational model of the directorate is designed for both resilience and agility. And as its core, we have the robust leadership team, which is headed by the director, supported by 4 deputy directors, each overseeing one or more of the institution's key directorates. We have strategy, which is responsible for long-term planning, foresight, and national cybersecurity vision, regulatory affairs and control, ensuring compliance, oversight, and enforcement of cybersecurity obligations. We have institutional partnerships, driving cooperation with national and international stakeholders, technical operations, handling incident response, threat intelligence, and operational cybersecurity missions, expertise in projects, managing innovation, research and development, but also the implementation of EU projects, and of course the internal affairs, the General Secretariat overseeing the internal operations. Our vision and mission is to go far beyond of a traditional regulator of incident responder, and the directorate is positioning itself as Romanian Central Cybersecurity Hub, a convergence point where businesses, governments, academia, research, And international partners and other allies and democratic countries, like-minded countries, they come together to coordinate strategic responses to drive cybersecurity innovation and to safeguard the nation's digital environment. And we have done this because the multi-dimensional approach is rooted in the recognition that cybersecurity doesn't have any borders, and cybersecurity is not just a technical problem, but it became more a strategic, economic, and societal imperative that requires responsibility across all sectors. At the heart of our mission lies a simple but powerful principle: collaboration. And we work on 6 strategic pillars, each representing a vital area of engagement, impact, and partnership. On regulatory affairs, the Directorate ensures that Romanian cybersecurity legal framework is not only robust and enforceable, but also harmonized with the EU law, enabling consistent protection across all sectors and compliance with EU directives, but also implementing those EU directives and regulation. Then we have the cybersecurity assessment and certification. We play a key role in evaluating and certifying technologies, digital services, and critical infrastructure, fostering trust and reliance in national digital ecosystems. We have the third pillar on education, prevention, awareness, and training. Also on EU international projects, where the Directorate is an active participant in key European programs and projects, such as the one on CRACY, on the other one on CRA, on AI, which is a similar project helping SMEs to comply with the CRA, but also in other projects such as the DNS for EU or SAFE project, and many more. You can find the full list of the EU projects where the Directorate is involved in on our website. But also with the ECCC, and also we coordinate with the NCC, and actually our director stands in the advisory board of the European Cybersecurity Competence Center. And together, being based on those pillars, the Directorate is proactive, collaborative force, accelerated Romania's secure digital transformation, but also empowering partners and ensuring the country's leadership in EU and global cybersecurity. Other core mandates and functions would imply that we are the national competent authority for cybersecurity. Also implements the government's we implement the government's policy in the field of cybersecurity, and we are the regulatory body, as mentioned before, but we also have the national CSIRT capabilities, as we host and operate our national CSIRT, but also the dedicated government CSIRT and the Product Security Incident Response Team, the so-called PSIRT. And we provide guidance, technical support, and incidents response coordination. Moreover, beyond our regulatory and strategic mandate, as mentioned before, we have different operational and cooperative functions, from alerting, prevention, awareness, and training, to cooperation and collaboration, to National Cybersecurity Authority, and also the representation function, as we represent Romanian regional, EU, and international bodies and organizations which are focused on cybersecurity, and the Directorate also acts the national point of contact for EU institutions when it comes to cybersecurity. Moving a little bit further. For the we have a wide portfolio of competencies, as you have seen. We are involved in different projects, and this slide could give you an overview of the collaborative approach and prior experience of the National Cybersecurity Directorate. But of course, we are here to discuss about the roles under the Cyber Resilience Act, and I would like to highlight the fact that we didn't find yet the silver bullet, we didn't find the solution, and we are also waiting for the articles and papers and white papers that the project will present, as the other speaker mentioned before. However, just reminding you a little bit of the roles under the CRA. As you might know, the conformity assessment body must be an independent organization which is established under national law with legal personality, and the main aim is to evaluate whether products with digital elements comply with the essential cybersecurity requirements which are set out in the regulation, which I understood that our colleagues from Timenext nicely explained in the previous webinar. The most important part for the conformity assessment body, or the CAB, they have to operate as a third-party entity, which is entirely independent from the manufacturers, designers, suppliers, or users of the products it assesses, and must avoid any conflicts of interest, including through its organizational structure, financial arrangements, and staff responsibility. And moreover, the CAB must possess the necessary technical competence, infrastructure, but also administrative capacity to carry out the conformity assessment, tasks for which it is notified, either directly or through subcontractors under its responsibility. And also the personnel which is involved in those assessments, they must have strong technical training, a thorough understanding of relevant EU cybersecurity legislation, but also the authority to issue valid certification and reports, because otherwise the CAB could not work. I will not insist on the provisions which are under the CRA regarding CABs, because I'm sure that you discussed them previously. However, I would like to present and to discuss the fact that a notifying authority under the CRA could not be simultaneously serve also as a CAB, because according to Article 27 in the CRA, the notifying authority must be structured to avoid any conflict of interest with CABs, and decisions to notify are made by different individuals, and those who carried out the assessments, and the authority is strictly prohibited from offering activities that CABs perform, including consultancy or conformity testing. I think that this is really important for member states when setting up the notifying authority, but also when setting up the CABs. But then notifying authority, just a short reminder, is the national body which is responsible for evaluating, designating, and continuously monitoring the CABs to ensure that they meet the essential criteria such as independence, technical competence, and the lack of conflicts of interest. And under CRA, each member state, including Romania, they must formally designate such an authority to uphold the consistent quality in cybersecurity conformity assessment, working in close cooperation with the accreditation system, the one which is developed in the regulation 7065 from 2008. So therefore, also the notifying authority is responsible for safeguarding the impartiality and confidentiality in its process, and it must avoid any conflict of interest. So that's why they cannot. We consider that they cannot both work within the same authority. And then, of course, we have the elephant in the room. We have the market surveillance authorities. Each member state should designate one or more market surveillance authorities within their territory. Those market surveillance authorities should be able to choose to designate, the member state should be able to choose to designate any existing or new authority to act as market surveillance authority, including competent authorities which were designated or established as part of the NIS2 directive, or the National Cybersecurity Certification Authority, which was designated based on the EU Cybersecurity Act, or the market surveillance authorities, which were designated for the purposes of the RED directive, of the radio equipment directive. As you can see on the screen, I listed down the competent authorities under those EU legislation.